I'm so excited for this video because I have been waiting for so long for this TV show and it's finally come out and I can finally talk about it, and I finally saw the first episode even though it's been out for like 4 days already because my life has been crazy, and so I'm not gonna keep talking, we're just gonna jump right into it. Hey friends, my name's Gabrielle and welcome to FrumiousReads, and today we are talking about episode 1 of His Dark Materials! Oh my gosh, I am so excited. I loved the attempt at the Golden Compass movie, but let's be honest, it was really disappointing. And I just finally got to see the first episode of the His Dark Material TV show on HBO Go, and oh my gosh, I have so many thoughts about it. So, the first few minutes of this are going to be spoiler free as I just discuss my general opinion of the show and what I liked that they did, and my overall thoughts as it will continue. But after that, I'm gonna put up like a little marker that says spoilers, so if you have not seen the first episode yet at this point, then I would just be wary of the spoilers going ahead. I loved that there seemed to be so much more care and dedication to actually following what is described in the book. I really enjoyed the casting. I wasn't sure how it would play out, but James McAvoy does an amazing job, so does Ruth Ware and Daphne Keane. They all perfectly portray those characters, and while there were some points where I'm like, that's a little out of character, it was only the first episode, and I think that the amount of dedication and hard work you can tell these actors put in really made the first episode worth it. They did a really great job taking different parts of Lyra's Oxford and just putting it into the show. But honestly, as an episode itself, it's amazing. So now here comes the spoilery part. I'm gonna talk about everything in specific detail that I love. I literally have like a whole page of notes on this. Starting from the very beginning, I wasn't sure at first how I would feel about the text coming across on the screen, because it felt very much like the Golden Compass intro where they kind of go through and explain everything to you, and I really didn't like that because it was really oversimplified. But with this one, it's just enough to be like, hey, this is a different world. I didn't quite like so much the child prophecy thing because I feel like in the books you don't really know for sure until later on, but I understand that because this is a TV show, they have to do things differently to catch the audience, and it does make it a little bit more intriguing and kind of make you look at every action that the characters take in a different light. And let's talk about those demon changes, because I know that was a big concern for everyone when we saw that this was going to be adapted for TV, because demons are just so fluid and they change shape so naturally, and it's very hard to portray that on screen. But I absolutely love that within the first like 5 minutes you could see Lyra and Roger's demons changing multiple times, and it just looks natural. It doesn't look like there's a bunch of CGI effects, and I was so excited when I saw the demons because they were portrayed so well, and I know that was a big concern for many people when we first saw the trailer for the show. The intro sequence is something that I want to analyze in a separate video because I feel like there's so many hidden clues in there that I kind of saw but didn't have time to actually look at. For example, there was one part where there's two kids walking down staircases in opposite of each other, and of course my first thought was like, oh, it's probably Lyra and Roger, but then what if it's actually Lyra and Will? And so I really want to go through and actually look at each scene in the intro sequence to see if you can get any kind of spoilers or any kind of hints for the upcoming season. I will say I had my doubts at first when it came to Lyra, because while I did enjoy the Golden Compass's kind of childlike adaptation, and I love Daphne Keane, I just wasn't sure how they would portray her. But I was so impressed. Throughout this entire episode, she just stuck really well to Lyra's personality. Because Lyra isn't necessarily like a bad child, she's just very mischievous and hard-headed and likes to do her own thing. I think that came across. She was a little bit softer, I guess, for me is the word I'm trying to say, but not in a bad way, but just in a more relatable way, in a way that I feel like they were trying to grab audiences outside of the His Dark Materials fandom, and I feel like beyond the His Dark Materials fandom, if they had just watched this child act like a total brat, it wouldn't have been as interesting. I noticed the softness in this first episode, but I understand why they kind of did it if that's the reason, and I don't think it took away from Daphne Keane's portrayal at all. Okay, and then the scene with the decanter and the poison, oh my gosh, that was literally almost word for word directly for the book, and I was so excited. All the way up to the fact where Lyra gets thrown into the cupboard was so extremely on point. James McAvoy is killing it as Lord Asriel. I am so happy that they chose him because he is such a great actor, and honestly I feel like he kind of captures the original portrayal of Lord Asriel as I pictured him in the book. Even just within those few scenes that Lord Asriel is in, you can see through James McAvoy's portrayal the conflict he has inside every time he sees Lyra. So James McAvoy is killing it. I'm so excited to see what he does in the future. I was never worried about his portrayal at all, but I'm just glad to know that I was justified. And then let's talk about the settling ceremony. I was really surprised that they incorporated something like that, and I like how natural it felt. It didn't feel like it was something forced or it was something that was just used as a plot device. It felt like very natural. It gave us more of an insight into the Egyptian culture, and it gave more of a concrete way to show how Billy Costa was kidnapped by the gobblers. Because in the books, it's just through rumors that Lyra and Roger hear that he's been captured. But now you kind of saw that in action. I really enjoyed that. I like how we get to see a little more culture. I like how we get to see more into the world and more of how these demons are so important and their impact they have on everyone's lives. And I think that was a fantastic way to show it. My favorite line was, "Can I see the man's head?" No! Like, just that interaction was so great, and I just love how natural it felt. That really stood out to me. Then we get the scene with the Egyptians as they're discussing Billy Costa's disappearance. I really enjoyed Lord Fa in the movies, but I have to say that this Lord Fa, his portrayal is very, very like stern. I am the king of the West. You will listen to what I say because this is important type of stuff. And like, he's very well respected, you can tell. But I don't know if he was that like hard and stern in the books. So I think it's an interesting portrayal. I think it's probably a more adult portrayal of him, because really we only saw him from Lyra's perspective, and that was when he was talking to her. And then we get Miss Coulter's entrance. Oh, it was amazing. It was just the way she walked through the doors, and she looks good and she knows it. She has all everyone's attention, and the way that she immediately captures Lyra's attention, which was the purpose behind all of her actions, was to capture Lyra's intentions. I think her entrance was wonderfully done. Ruth Ware does a fantastic job as Miss Coulter. She's really, really charming. You could tell she's trying her best to get on Lyra's side and make Lyra like her, but there's just something so inherently creepy about her that still comes through her like kind of picture. Okay, my battery died. But to continue what I was saying, through her picture perfect presentation, you can really see the creepiness, and you get the feeling that something's not quite right with her. She's trying too hard to get Lyra to like her. I just can't wait until we get the revelation for who she really is and who she really works for. Just a little thing I wanted to point out was I love how Lyra's always shown running, because she's very much go, 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 and I think that just showing her running everywhere was a great way to portray that. Just a little side note I had that I made that I wanted to mention. And then so she agrees to go with Lyra. Miss Coulter agrees that Roger can come. Lyra tells her how he's her best friend and he's so important to her, how they're both orphans. And then the next day Roger goes missing, and it's like, oh, you little witch, you're so evil. Oh my gosh, that was so well done. I'm loving it, but I'm just like, poor Roger, poor Lyra, because you know what's going to happen. Because I've read the books, I know what's going to happen. So just seeing how they're choosing to do it on screen and seeing how that's gonna just come back and how they're setting up that foreshadowing is so amazing. And I really, I was blown away. I started like screaming and I got chills. So I was like, I can't believe this is how they're doing it. I can't wait to see the next episode for when Lyra possibly finds out the connection between Miss Coulter and everything that's happening. It was just such a smart and manipulative way to make sure that Lyra went with Miss Coulter, and just the fantastic planning, fantastic job with the writers on that, fantastic job for Philip Pullman for contributing what he did to make that happen, because oh my gosh, I was so impressed, and I just felt like that was so well done. And then Lyra's given the alethiometer, which I love how, just to contrast between the TV show and the movie, in the movie, Lyra just basically opens up the alethiometer and can read it automatically. And it's shown this really cinematic portrayal, and I get why, but it just wasn't what we wanted. And then here, you can feel the tension because she has to make a decision of, do I try and read this alethiometer even though it's not working, or do I go and trust Miss Coulter and believe that she will lead me to find Roger? And I just love how there's that tension, and she can't work the alethiometer. She can't just open it and automatically figure out how to use it. She actually has to work at it and learn, and that is what we saw in the books. And that was something I was really excited to see, because it just shows her tenacity, and it shows more of what kind of person she is, and it's just more true to the source material. Like in the books, Lyra did not just open up the alethiometer and was like, oh, I know what this says. Like, she had to work at it for a while, and then she started to get the hang of it. And so I'm really glad that they're choosing to do it that way, and I like how they showed us that she doesn't know how to read it and how it was so pivotal to her decision that she made. Another little detail was when Lyra was hiding the alethiometer in her pocket, how the golden monkey immediately zeroed in on it and was like focused. And you kind of see it's like, that's a little weird. Like you could see the sinister betrayal. You could see how the monkey can come off as sinister, and that really feeds into the portrayal of Miss Coulter and how she should not be trusted. She's a little too perfect. And finally, the ending scene with Roger, which tore my heart out. Oh my gosh, it's so well done. It was so well done. It was so sad. And I just know it's gonna be emotionally heartbreaking when we see what happens. Overall, I love the first episode. There really aren't any critiques or anything that I didn't enjoy. Other than those few moments where I was like, that's a little out of character, like when Lyra rejected the alethiometer at first. I was like, that doesn't seem like something she would do because she still trusted the master. It was interesting. It was an interesting take, and so I wonder if that's gonna come back later. There were so many little Easter eggs dropped in this episode, so many things that I want to go through and analyze again, like how the Egyptians and Tony Costa and Ma Costa, they seem to be playing a much bigger role and impacting the story more and earlier than they did in the books. So I really, really enjoy how that's happening. I love how you get to see Lord Asriel and some of his expeditions and what he's up to at the same time that Lyra's in Oxford. I cannot wait for the second episode. I will be posting my episode review much sooner than I did for this episode. This week has just been crazy, and I didn't want to post something that was kind of like half-hearted and didn't really go into depth of everything I wanted to talk about. I've been putting off watching the episode until I finally had time, and today I had time, and I'm so excited. That is all I have for you guys today. I would love to know what your thoughts were on this first episode. If there's anything I missed, if there's anything that you guys noticed that I didn't talk about, please let me know in the comments down below. Or if you have any thoughts on anything that I mentioned, I would love to hear from you guys. I'm just so excited that this is happening, and it seems like it's such a great adaptation. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I upload Bookish videos once a week, as well as I have a podcast where I talk about women in history known for mayhem and murder. So if you're into true crime or anything like that, make sure you check it out. It is called A Murderous Affair. It's available wherever you can find podcasts. Specifically, I know for sure it's on Apple Podcasts and Podbean, so if you just search it up there, it will pop up, and I'll leave a link in the description down below for you guys. Make sure you guys come back next week, next Monday, so I can talk about episode 2 and what we learn is going to happen in the series then. I cannot wait. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys later. Okay, bye.